Hello, good afternoon. What, I wonder, has the man organising next month's Miss World, Eric Morley, royal dress designer Bruce Oldfield, and author Leslie Thomas got in common? Answer: when they started out, no one would have given much for their chances of success. They were all brought up in children's homes, and despite this, or even because of it, went on to the top of their professions. So, at a time when cruelty to children by their parents is so much in the news, A+4 Today focuses on what it's like to grow up in a children's home. Dilly Bramer, now a journalist, left a children's home in Surrey called Beecholme 15 years ago. We asked him to go back and record his feelings and to track down some of his contemporaries.
And even though I left 15 years ago, there are some of us that are still in touch. And like myself, there are those that want to tell people about Beecholme, what it was like and the effects that it's had on the children that were once there. I've tracked down 3 of my Beecholme friends to help me, one of which is Frank. He left Beecholme before me, but when I did leave, we both shared a bedsit in southwest London. Now, Frank was nobody's fool, and at the time was probably a lot more streetwise than I was. And even though he then looked as though he couldn't punch his way out of a paper bag, he was a survivor. So that when he moved away from the Wimbledon area and up into London, living in hostels and with the occasional sympathetic friend, he had enough wits to cope. But he admits his real saving was meeting his wife, Sandra, because she was more level-headed, and it was her stability that steered him away from the influence of drugs. They've been together for almost 15 years now, and they're very proud of their 4 children, none of whom, Frank is determined, will ever see the inside of a children's home or suffer the deprivation that he had to. To ensure this, Frank stays at home minding the family, while Sandra is the breadwinner. This planned role reversal is to give him time and opportunity for his other great love, karate, a sport that he can put everything into. It controls and channels all that aggression because, not surprisingly, there's still a lot of anger left from the old days. The idea at the moment is to carry on training for another year or so and then open up his own club or teach in another one. And he probably will. He's got the determination and he'll do it. From the time that she and her 4 brothers and sisters were put in her particular house, they were constantly told how lucky and indebted to the taxpayer they were.
Well, Frank, you went in, I think, about when you were 5. Do you remember sort of what impact it had on you at that age?
Yes, I do actually. Quite a good impact. It's affected me in lots of different ways. But mainly I remember the first day we got there. And it was snowing, it was a winter's day. And the CCO, the childcare officer, dropped us off. And the house father sent us up to the stores to get our clothes and all the rest of it. And then we was doing crochet and just generally talking and mucking about. But I remember seeing the railway and the trains going past the back window. And I used to look at these trains. It's just stand out there days on end looking at these trains going back towards London, wishing that I was on one of them. Because I didn't particularly like it there at the time.
Did you miss your parents?
I did actually, yeah. I didn't see much of them actually because I was in and out of institutions all the time.
You were taken away from them because they couldn't look after you, and yet you still miss them.
I did spend some time, but the time I spent with them, I remember, was good times. Most of the times in the home were bad for me because I had freedom in London. And I could do this, I could do that.
Did anyone take any sort of individual notice of you? I mean, you had house parents. Did they?
Well, they did, but see, you changed so many house parents. I mean, one year you had so-and-so, next year you had someone else, then you was adopted out, and then you was adopted out to somebody else. And you just chopped and changed. I must have had about 15 adopted parents.
Actively nasty. I mean, hate is a very strong word to use.
Yes, I did. For up until the last 6 months, when I actually swapped houses, then it was another kettle of fish. It was really nice.
Tell me a little bit what it was like, the bad time.
Well, it was mental torture. Mm-hmm. Nobody physically hurt you, but you were forever grateful for the taxpayer for your dinner.
Oh.
You thank the taxpayer for your holiday. You thanked him for everything, you know. And until I left and got a job myself, I didn't realise who the taxpayer was.
So you were made
soon found out.
You were made to feel a charity case, you're saying?
Well, yes. You know, thank the taxpayer that you've got this sausage.
Sounds
which wasn't very nice, but then you didn't know who he was.